They say you never truly know a person until they strip away their mask. I learned this standing on my own driveway, my luggage still warm from Colorado's crisp air. A stranger stood before me, claiming my home. The penthouse I'd built my life in for over 2 decades. My daughter, Jennifer, had sold it. Just like that. My sanctuary was gone. Her laughter, when I finally reached her, still rings in my ears. A cold, dismissive sound that echoed her words. You're basically homeless now. Mom. She thought it was over. But Jennifer didn't know the truth about me. Not yet. This isn't where it ends. It's where it began. The Colorado mountains. 3 weeks earlier. I remember the cabin balcony. A soft blanket. The sun dipping behind the peaks. The air was cool. Clean. I could breathe for the first time in months. No phone. No obligations. Just a book and the wind in the pines. It was a fleeting peace. I was 72. Decades spent in the grind. Bone-deep weariness. A career forged in the 70 seconds as a secretary. Clawing my way to paralegal. Every promotion a battle won. Every dollar a brick in the foundation of a life I earned. I built it. Brick by painstaking brick. By retirement. I'd saved enough. The penthouse was mine outright. No mortgage. No debt. 23 years of memories etched into its very walls. The morning light through floor-to-ceiling windows. My reading nook by the fireplace. It was proof of what I'd accomplished. A legacy. Jennifer, my daughter, used to visit that guest bedroom. Not anymore. Lately, her calls had grown frequent. Always a new drama. Michael's business failing. Money troubles. Always asking for another loan. A few thousand here. A few there. Never enough. She'd changed. Or perhaps I'd only just begun to see her clearly. Not the girl who brought me dandelions, but a woman who saw me as a solution to her problems. A mother. Yes. But primarily, a resource. The Colorado trip was meant to create distance. To clear my head. To learn how to set boundaries without shattering what little remained of our bond. 2 weeks of hiking. Small towns. Antiking. 2 weeks to remember myself. Separate from Mom or the woman with the nice penthouse, I journaled about Tom, my late husband, gone 15 years, about my career, about Jennifer, her college graduation, her wedding, my beautiful grandchildren. I wrote about future hopes travel, volunteering, that art class I'd always wanted to take, a hopeful, peaceful dream. I had no idea that while I envisioned new beginnings, Jennifer was dismantling everything I'd built. The power of attorney I'd signed 2 years prior. A simple precaution for gallbladder surgery. A lawyer's recommendation. It was being wielded against me. A weapon. My last Colorado day was at a farmer's market. Hand-carved toys for the youngest. A beaded bracelet for the older grandchild. I imagined their smiles. Stories of mountains. A future trip together. The drive home was long. Pleasant. I listened to audiobooks. Stopped at diners. No rush. I was going home. My safe place. My reward for a lifetime's toil. I pulled into the building's garage late afternoon. 3 days ago. The security gate opened. My assigned spot. Number 47. Normal. Ordinary. I rolled my suitcase toward the elevator. Already planning a long bath. Thai takeout. A call to Jennifer. I had no idea I would never make it past my own front door. The elevator hummed up to the 15th floor. Familiar jolt. I stepped into the hallway. Keys in hand. Mrs. Patterson from 15C was watering plants. As always. Welcome back, dear. She called out. Wonderful. I smiled back. I'll tell you all about it. My door. 15 grams. The corner unit. The best views. My key slid into the lock. But it wouldn't turn. I jiggled it, thinking it was stiff. Nothing. The key wouldn't even go all the way in. The lock looked different. Newer. Sheenier. My stomach dropped. Building maintenance. I tried to tell myself. They'd replaced locks before. They must have forgotten to give me the new key. I pressed the doorbell once. Twice. 3 times. Movement behind the frosted glass. Someone was home. The door opened partway. Held by a chain lock. A man. Perhaps Vierzig. Thick beard. Suspicious eyes. Yes, he asked. Oh. Hello. I managed. Feigning pleasantness despite the rising panic. I believe there's been a mix-up. I live here. This is my penthouse. His eyebrows drew together. What, I'm Margaret Torres. I've lived here over 20 years. I showed him my keys. Lady? I don't know what you're talking about. He glanced over his shoulder. A woman appeared. His wife. Honey. There's someone at the door saying she lives here. The woman stepped forward. Irritation mingling with concern. This is my home. I repeated. My voice shaking. Surely a mistake. Are you from maintenance? The man shook his head slowly. No repairs. We own this place. Bought it 3 weeks ago. Closed. Moved in. Everything. The world tilted. That's impossible. I whispered. It's not for sale. It's mine. The woman crossed her arms. Look. I have the deed. Real estate agent. All papers signed. This is our home now. My voice sharper now. Who sold it to you? Who dared to sell my property? The man and woman exchanged glances. Your daughter, he finally said. Jennifer Torres Brennan. She handled the sale. Said you were moving into a care facility. Liquidating assets. My legs gave way. I gripped the door frame. My daughter, yes. A nice lady. Had all the paperwork. Power of attorney. Everything. Our lawyer checked it out. Perfectly legal. I couldn't breathe. The hallway closed in around me. Ma'am. Are you okay? The woman asked. Her voice softening. You look pale. I shook my head. Stepping back. I need to make a phone call. The man's tone gentler now. I don't know what's going on. But we bought this place fair and square. Kids start school next month. We sold our old house for this. Whatever is between you and your daughter, work it out with her, not us. The door closed. The deadbolt slid into place. I stood in the hallway, staring at the door that had been mine for 23 years. The custom navy blue. The tiny scratch from dropped keys. It was gray now. Plain. Unremarkable gray. They'd even repainted my door. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone. Jennifer's number. My thumb hovered. A part of me craved a simple misunderstanding. A logical explanation. Maybe she'd rented it out. But deep down, in that place mothers know things. I already knew the truth. I pressed call. Mom. You're back? Jennifer's voice was bright. Sickeningly cheerful. As if she hadn't just shattered my world. Jennifer. My voice came out raw. Why are strangers living in my penthouse? Silence. Not confusion. But the calculated quiet of someone caught. Jennifer. Answer me. Why did you sell my home? I heard her breathing. Then that familiar, exaggerated sigh. The one she used when I was being difficult. Mom. Okay. Listen. I can explain. Then explain. I stood there. Suitcase beside me. In front of the door that was no longer mine. Mrs. Patterson had retreated. Explain why strangers are living in my penthouse. You're being dramatic. Jennifer snapped. Impatience creeping in. It's not that big of a deal. Not a big deal. Heat surged in my chest. Jennifer, this is my home. 2 decades. You had no right. Actually, Mom, I did. Remember that power of attorney you signed for your gallbladder surgery? Michael and I talked to a lawyer. Technically, I could make financial decisions. My mind reeled. That was for medical emergencies. To pay hospital bills if something went wrong. Not to sell my property behind my back. Well, our lawyer said it was legal. She trailed off. As if that settled everything. Your lawyer, I repeated slowly. Whose lawyer did you talk to? Michael's friend from college. He practices real estate law. Looked everything over. Said we were fine. Of course, Michael's friend. Not an independent attorney. Someone who would tell them exactly what they wanted to hear. Jennifer, why would you do this? My voice cracked. Why sell my home without even telling me? Another pause. Then, quietly, defensively, we needed the money. Mom, you needed the money, I echoed. Yes. Michael has serious debts. We were about to lose everything. The bank was threatening foreclosure. Creditors called daily. What were we supposed to do? You were supposed to talk to me. The words bounced off the hallway walls. Ask for help. Not steal from me. We're not stealing. Mom, God. You always make everything so dramatic. Her irritation flared. We got fair market value. The money's in an account. You'll get some once we sort out Michael's debts. Some of it, my hands shook. Nearly dropping the phone. Jennifer. That was my home. My security. Everything I worked my life for. And now you'll have cash instead. Isn't that better? You're getting older. Mom. Don't need a big place. We were doing you a favor. A favor. She thought she was doing me a favor. Where exactly did you think I was going to live? I don't know. You have options. Rent something smaller. Senior apartments. More people your age. I closed my eyes. Fighting the rage. So? You sold my home. Took my money for your husband's debts. And assumed I'd figure out where to live. You're smart. You always figure things out. Her tone was casual. Dismissive. As if we were discussing dinner, not the wreckage of my life. Look, Mom, I don't have time for this. Michael and I are stressed. Don't make this harder. Harder. I felt like I was speaking to a stranger. Jennifer, do you hear yourself? Do you understand what you've done? What I've done is saved my family. You're my mother. Parents help their children. Help. Yes. But you didn't ask for help. You stole from me. It's not stealing if it's legal. Mom. And it was legal. I have the paperwork. Legal doesn't mean right. Jennifer. A sound of frustration. You know what? I'm not doing this. You're upset. You'll see it was best once you calm down. Rationally. Jennifer, I'm standing in front of my own home with nowhere to go. How is that rational? Stop being dramatic. You're not homeless. You have money. Resources. Go to a hotel. We'll talk when you're not so emotional. My voice was flat now. When I'm not so emotional. Yeah. Look. I have to go. Michael needs me. Talk soon. Jennifer. Don't you dare hang up. We need to discuss this. Nothing to discuss. It's done. House sold. Money used. Sorry you're upset. But it doesn't change anything. Goodbye. Mom. The line went dead. I stood there. Phone pressed to my ear. Listening to the silence. Hung up on. My own daughter. Mrs. Patterson's door opened a crack. Dear. Are you all right? I heard shouting. I turned. My appearance must have been terrible, her face filled with concern. I'm fine. I lied. Just a family situation. She nodded slowly. If you need anything. Thank you. I picked up my suitcase. I need to find a hotel. As I walked toward the elevator, a cold resolve settled in. The shock faded, replaced by something sharper. Jennifer thought this was over. She thought I'd cry, get angry, then accept. She thought I had no choice, but she'd made a mistake, forgotten who I was. I didn't build my life by accepting things I couldn't change. I built it by changing them. I was about to remind her of that. The hotel room was beige walls, generic art, a bed too soft, nothing like my penthouse, but it had a roof, a lock. That was all I needed. I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my travel clothes, staring at the wall. My suitcase lay open, untouched. Unpacking meant accepting this nightmare. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer, Mom. I know you're upset, but we had no choice. Michael's business failed. We were desperate. You would have done the same. I deleted it without a response. Another buzz. Also, you're being selfish right now. We're family. Family helps each other. Deleted. I turned off my phone, tossed it aside. I couldn't deal with her. Not with my hands shaking, the ground still feeling like it had opened beneath me. But self-pity wouldn't solve anything. I needed the full picture. I pulled my laptop from my carry-on. Meticulousness was my lifelong habit. Digital copies of everything, deeds, statements, legal documents, all organized, all backed up. I opened property documents, the deed to my penthouse, bought outright in 2002 for $370. Ling ling ling. Every skipped vacation, every old car driven, every sacrifice had been for this. I thought it was untouchable, truly mine. Next, the power of attorney document from 2 years ago. I remembered that day. Gallbladder surgery. Robert Harrison, my lawyer, recommended it as standard precaution. I'd asked Jennifer, my only child. Who else would I trust now? I read with fresh eyes. The language was clear for situations where I was unable to make decisions. Medical emergencies. Cognitive decline. When I genuinely needed someone to act on my behalf. Never for Jennifer to sell my property while I was on vacation. Never. I pulled up my email. Messages from Jennifer over the past month. Something had to be there. The first? 5 weeks ago. Hey, Mom. Hope you're excited for your trip. Grab lunch before you leave. Go over some paperwork. My stomach clenched. I vaguely recalled that lunch. A cafe near her house. Jennifer distracted. Checking her phone. She'd brought a folder. Mentioned updating emergency contacts. Ensuring documents were current. I'd signed a few things without reading them closely. My daughter. I trusted her. What had I signed? I scrolled. 3 weeks ago, while I was in Colorado. An email from a real estate agency I'd never heard of. Subject: congratulations on your sale. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Dear Miss Torres, congratulations on the successful sale of your property at 1847 Riverside Drive. Unit 15G. Closing scheduled for next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Attached PDFs of sale documents. I downloaded them. The sale price $850. Ling ling ling. The penthouse had appreciated, especially after the building renovation 5 years prior. But the money, it wasn't going into my account. Wire transfer instructions showed it routed to Jennifer and Michael's joint account. My hands clenched into fists. My signature was on the sales agreement, but it wasn't quite mine. Close. Someone had practiced. Copied my handwriting. But I saw the flaws. The M in Margaret looped slightly wrong. The T in Torres too sharp. Jennifer had forged my signature. This wasn't merely misuse of power of attorney. This was fraud. Forgery. Not a mistake. Not a misunderstanding. A deliberate act to sell my home without my knowledge. I sat back. Nauseous. How long had she planned this? During that lunch, practicing my signature, did Michael help? Or was it all her? My mind replayed the last few months. Jennifer's frequent calls about money, her detailed questions about my finances, disguised as concern for my retirement. The afternoon she'd offered to help organize documents, photographing papers in my home office. She was gathering information, building a case to take everything. I opened another folder, bank statements. Any other unusual activity, my blood ran cold. Over the past 6 months, small withdrawals from my savings. 1,000 here, 2,000 there. Amounts small enough I might not notice. Especially planning my trip. Jennifer had access as my power of attorney. She'd been siphoning money for months. Almost $18. Ling ling ling. I pressed my hands to my face, steadying my breath. Worse than I thought. So much worse. Not a desperate panic decision. Calculated. Planned. Methodical. My daughter had been stealing from me for half a year, and I'd been too trusting to see it. Michael. His gambling debts. According to the buyers. I knew he was irresponsible. But this bad enough to resort to this. Or was it all Jennifer I didn't know anymore? I didn't know my own daughter anymore. The one who called me every Sunday, cried in my arms over a broken heart, asked me to help choose her wedding dress. Where had that person gone? When had she become someone who could do this? I stood, walked to the window. The hotel overlooked a parking lot. Gray concrete. Yellow lines. People living normal lives while mine crumbled. But underneath the hurt, something else was building. Stronger than pain. Resolve. Jennifer thought she'd won. Taken my home. My money. My trust. Hung up on me like an inconvenience. But she'd made one critical mistake. She'd underestimated me. I'd spent 40 years in law. I knew the system. Knew fraud. Knew how to build a case. Knew people who could help. I turned my phone back on. Ignored Jennifer's 3 new texts. Scrolled to a different contact. Robert Harrison. My lawyer. My friend. 30 years. It was late. Almost 9. I called anyway. He picked up on the second ring. Margaret. Everything. All right, Robert. I said. My voice steadier than I expected. I need your help. My daughter just stole everything from me. I need to get it back. Robert met me at his office the next morning. I'd barely slept. My mind racing. But walking into that familiar building on 4th Street, where I'd worked decades ago, I felt something new. Hope. Robert waited in the lobby. More gray hair. Deeper lines. But his handshake was firm. His expression serious. Come on up. I've cleared my morning. We rode the elevator in silence. I was grateful he didn't offer empty platitudes. Robert was practical. He knew when to speak. When to listen. His office was unchanged. Bookshelves crammed with legal texts. An oak desk buried in files. The same coffee maker since 1987. Sit, he said, gesturing. Tell me everything. So I did. The vacation. The return. The stranger at my door. Jennifer's call. The forged signatures. Months of unauthorized withdrawals. The Colorado trip was meant to create distance, to clear my head, to learn how to set boundaries without shattering what little remained of our bond. 2 weeks of hiking. Small towns. Onteking. 2 weeks to remember myself. Separate from Mom or the woman with the nice penthouse. I journaled about Tom, my late husband. Gone 15 years. About my career. About Jennifer. Her college graduation. Her wedding. My beautiful grandchildren. I've cleared my morning. We rode the elevator in silence. I was grateful he didn't offer empty platitudes. Robert was practical. He knew when to speak. When to listen. His office was unchanged. Bookshelves crammed with legal texts. An oak desk buried in files. The same coffee maker since 1987. Sit, he said, gesturing. Tell me everything. So I did. The vacation. The return. The stranger at my door. Jennifer's call. The forged signatures. Months of unauthorized withdrawals. Timeline. Communications with Jennifer. Proof you never intended to sell. Testimony of your mental competency. Witnesses who can verify you weren't planning assisted living. Mrs. Patterson. I said. My neighbor. She saw me. She can testify. Good. Who else, I thought? My doctor. Annual checkup before the trip. He'll confirm sound mind and body. And Margaret Chen. From my book club. Lunch 2 days before I left. I told her how excited I was to return home. Robert wrote it all down. Bank records for withdrawals. Original power of attorney to show its medical purpose. We need to move fast. The longer they live there, the more complicated. How fast emergency injunction. First thing this afternoon. Freeze funds. Question property status. Then petition for a full hearing. He looked at me over his reading glasses. Margaret, this will get ugly. Jennifer is your daughter. Taking her to court. Criminal charges. It will destroy what's left of your relationship. She destroyed it when she forged my name and sold my home. I said. My voice steady. I gave her life. Raised her. Sacrificed for her. She repaid me by stealing everything. Our relationship ended the moment she decided I was worth less than money. Robert nodded slowly. All right. Then, let's talk strategy. We spent 2 hours. Robert made calls. Pulled case law. Drafted preliminary documents. He contacted a forensic document examiner for the signature. A private investigator for Michael's financial history and gambling debts. If we prove Michael's severe trouble, and Jennifer knew. Robert explained. That establishes motive. Intentional theft. Not misunderstanding. By noon, I could breathe again. Not because it was solved, but because there was a path forward. I wasn't helpless. Not just a victim. I was fighting back. One more thing, Robert said as I gathered my things. Jennifer will contact you. She'll realize you're not accepting this. She'll try to manipulate you. Apologies. Tears. Guilt for taking action against her. I know. Don't engage. No calls. No texts. Everything goes through me. Can you do that? I thought of Jennifer's past manipulations. Guilt trips. Emotional blackmail. Twisting situations to make herself the victim. I'd fallen for it every time. Because I loved her. Because I wanted to believe she was a good person who made mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A series of calculated choices. Made over months. To take advantage of the person who loved her most. Yes, I said. I can do that. Robert walked me to the elevator. We're getting your home back. Margaret. I promise. I nodded. But as the doors closed, I knew getting my home back wasn't enough. It was about justice. Making Jennifer understand actions have consequences. You can't just take what you want and walk away unscathed. She thought I was weak. An easy target. An old woman. She was about to learn how wrong she was. My phone buzzed. Another text from Jennifer. Mom. Seriously. Stop being stubborn. Accept this. Move on. You're embarrassing yourself. I smiled. A cold smile. The kind that knows something the other person doesn't. Jennifer had no idea. But she was about to find out. 3 days later, I sat in a small conference room in Robert's office. Around me were people I desperately needed. Daniel Wright. The forensic document examiner. Patricia Moore. A private investigator specializing in financial fraud. And Robert. A stack of folders growing taller. Signature analysis, Robert said, nodding to Daniel. Daniel pulled out a magnifying device. Mrs. Torres. I've examined both signatures. Significant differences. He projected enlarged images. Your natural signature has a distinctive flow. The G in Margaret curves back, connects to the A, absent in the forged signature. The person tried to copy your style, but lacked the muscle memory. I leaned closer. He was right. 50 years signing my name. It became instinct. Someone copying would have to think about every stroke. At least 8 distinct differences. Daniel continued. Pressure points are wrong. Speed inconsistent. A slight tremor, suggesting hesitation. Someone was nervous. Can you testify? Robert asked. Absolutely. Full report. This signature is not authentic. Robert made a note. Solid evidence of forgery. Patricia. Michael's financial situation. Patricia opened her laptop. Michael Brennan is in deep trouble. Over $200. 0-inch debt. Accumulated in 18 months. Most from gambling. My stomach dropped. 200 yuan. Ling ling ling. Accounts at 3 Atlantic City casinos. Patricia continued. Online sites. Borrowing from private lenders. Exorbitant interest rates. At least 5 loans above 20% annually. How did it get this bad? I asked. Patricia glanced at Robert. Started small. Regular casino visits. 2 years ago, something changed. Amounts got bigger. Frequency increased. Classic gambling addiction. And Jennifer knew. Oh. She knew. Patricia clicked to bank statements. Their joint account. Large cash withdrawals. Just under $0 to avoid reporting requirements. Jennifer made most of these. I stared at the dates. Some over a year ago. Jennifer knew for that long. Never asked for help. Let it build until the only solution was to steal my home. There's more, Patricia said. Michael's business. The consulting firm operated at a loss for 3 years. Falsifying tax documents. Showing non-existent income. The IRS hasn't caught on yet. But they will. Robert leaned back. Clear motive. Desperate situation. Mounting debts. Mother-in-law with assets. Patricia. Proof of advanced planning. Still working on that. But I found something interesting. Patricia pulled up an email. 4 months ago. Jennifer to Michael. Subject, Mom's properties. Discussing your penthouse's market value. Speculating what they could get for it. 4 months ago. Before my Colorado trip. She was researching how to sell my home 4 months ago. I said. My voice hollow. It gets worse. Patricia said gently. Text messages between Jennifer and a real estate agent from 6 weeks ago. Asking how to handle a sale when the owner was temporarily unavailable. Agent provided power of attorney info. 6 weeks ago. Just before that lunch where I signed those papers. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. Each new piece of information. Another weight. Mrs. Torres. Are you all right? Daniel asked. You've gone pale. I'm fine. I lied. Please continue. Robert gave me a concerned look. Jennifer's credit card statements. Patricia said. Weeks leading up to the sale. Several purchases suggest preparation. Notary stamp online. Tracing paper. High-quality pens. A book on document forgery. I closed my eyes. Each detail. Another nail in the coffin of any doubt. Not desperation. Not spur of the moment. Calculated theft. The notary who witnessed the signature Robert interjected. Kevin Foster. Mobile notary. Advertises, quick. No questions asked service. Admitted off the record, he doesn't always verify identity if the client seems trustworthy. I'd bet Jennifer paid him extra to look the other way. Can we prove that? Robert asked. Not yet. But I'm working on it. Bank records showing a large payment from Jennifer would be damning. Robert turned to me. Margaret, this is hard. But it's good news legally. Not a misunderstanding. Clear. Premeditated fraud. The evidence is overwhelming. I nodded slowly. Good news. It felt strange to call it that. Each piece of evidence, another betrayal. One more thing, Patricia said, her voice softer. Jennifer's personal accounts, moving small amounts to an account in the Cayman Islands, started 2 weeks after the Penthouse sale. She's hiding assets. Robert said immediately. Knew this might catch up. Squiring money away where it can't be touched. Cayman Islands. Offshore accounts. Not just theft. Sophisticated financial crime. I stood. Walked to the window. Busy street below. People going home. Living normal lives. I used to have a normal life. Worried about tomatoes. Air filters. Now. In a lawyer's office. Learning my only child planned to rob me. Mrs. Torres. Patricia's voice. I know this is a lot. How much did they get? I asked. Still looking out. From the sale, $850. Ling ling ling. Robert said quietly. Minus closing costs. Agent fees. Probably around $800. 000 net. Baba Mayuan. Ling ling ling. My life's work. My security. My home. All gone to Michael's gambling. And whatever else. How much is left? Patricia hesitated. Based on what I can find. Maybe $200. Ling ling ling. The rest paid debts. Not all of them. Michael still owes. Some to the offshore account. Large, untraceable cash withdrawals. Could be more gambling. Could be something else. Liu Bai Mei Yuan. 000. Spent or hidden in 3 weeks. I turned to face them. What happens next? Robert gathered his papers. Next. Court. Emergency injunction tomorrow. All this evidence. Ask the judge to reverse the sale. Freeze Jennifer and Michael's accounts. Start criminal proceedings for fraud and elder abuse. Will it work? With evidence like this? Yes. I'm confident we'll win. The question isn't if, but when. And how much damage Jennifer and Michael inflict on themselves fighting it. I sat back down. Exhausted. Exhausted. But strangely clear-headed. The investigation offered not just evidence, but understanding. This wasn't about me. Not something I'd done wrong. This was Jennifer and Michael's choices. Terrible. Criminal choices. Now. They would face the consequences. Thank you. I said to everyone, all of you, for helping me see the truth. Daniel packed his equipment. Happy to help. Mrs. Torres. No one deserves this. As others left, Robert stayed. Margaret. Something else. In court, Jennifer will play the victim. Say she was helping. Michael pressured her. She didn't understand. Let her try. I said. Emails. Texts. Planning. A jury will see through it. They will. Robert agreed. But be prepared. She's your daughter. Seeing her defend the indefensible, it will hurt. It already hurts. I said quietly. Every day since I came home, she was gathering information, building a case to take everything. I opened another folder, bank statements. Any other unusual activity, my blood ran cold. Over the past 6 months, small withdrawals from my savings. 1,000 here, 2,000 there. Amounts small enough I might not notice. Especially planning my trip. Jennifer had access as my power of attorney. She'd been siphoning money for months. Almost $18. Ling ling ling. I pressed my hands to my face, steadying my breath. She was gathering information, building a case to take everything. I opened another folder, bank statements. Any other unusual activity, my blood ran cold. Over the past 6 months, small withdrawals from my savings. 1,000 here, 2,000 there. Amounts small enough I might not notice. Especially planning my trip. Jennifer had access as my power of attorney. She'd been siphoning money for months. Almost $18. Ling ling ling. I pressed my hands to my face, steadying my breath. On the outside, you'd never guess fraud lived here. I sat in the rental, gathering courage. Movement in the living room window. Jennifer was home. Good. I walked up the path, rang the doorbell. Footsteps. The door opened. Jennifer. In yoga pants and oversized sweater. Hair in a messy ponytail. Her expression shifted from curious to annoyed. Mom, what are you doing here? We need to talk. I don't think that's a good idea. You're upset. I don't want more drama. I stepped forward. Something in my gaze must have told her I wasn't leaving. She backed up. I walked inside. Uninvited. The house was as I remembered. Beige carpet. Furniture we'd picked 5 years ago. Family photos, including me with my grandchildren. Did she feel shame looking at them, Jennifer? We need to have a conversation. A real one. Face to face. She crossed her arms defensively. Fine. Say what you came to say. Where's Michael upstairs? He's staying there. This is between you and me. No. I said quietly. This involves him. Too. Call him down. Mom. I'm not going to. Jennifer. Now. Something in my tone made her pause. The steel underneath it. She turned. Called up the stairs. Michael. Can you come down here? Heavy footsteps. Michael appeared. Wary. A big man. But small now. Cornered. Mrs. Torres. He attempted a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Good to see you. Is it? I asked. Is it really good to see the woman whose home you stole? The smile vanished. Now wait. We didn't steal anything. Everything was legal. Legal. I repeated. You keep using that word. Do you know what else is legal? Michael forensic document analysis. Private investigators. Court orders. I've employed all 3. Jennifer's face went pale. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that I know everything. I moved further into the living room. They both backed up. As if I were dangerous. Maybe I was. I know about the forged signature. Months of unauthorized withdrawals. Michael's gambling debts. Michael's jaw tightened. My finances are none of your business. They became my business when you convinced my daughter to steal from me to pay them off. We didn't steal, Jennifer interjected, her voice rising. We used legal power of attorney. You signed it for medical emergencies. I said, cold and steady. Not for you to sell my home while I was on vacation. Not for you to forge my signature. Not for you to take everything I worked for to clean up your husband's mess. Jennifer's hands shook. You don't understand. We were desperate. The bank was taking our house. People calling all hours. We had no choice. You had a choice. I said, stepping closer. Tell me the truth. Ask for help. File for bankruptcy. A dozen choices. And you chose fraud. It's not fraud, Michael said, but without conviction. I really looked at him. This man I'd welcomed. Given money. Trusted. 200 美元. Oh no, null in gambling debts. I said, 3 casinos. Online betting. Private lenders charging 20% interest. Shall I go on? His face flushed. Who told you that I hired a private investigator? She's very good. Found everything. The debts. The failed business. The falsified tax documents. And my favorite part, the offshore account Jennifer opened 2 weeks after selling my home. Jennifer gasped. You had us investigated. What did you think I was going to do? Just accept it? Move on while you spent my money? I shook my head. You forgot who raised you. Jennifer. Forgot I worked 40 years in law. Did you really think I wouldn't fight back? She sank onto the couch, face in her hands. This is insane. You're supposed to be my mother. Support me. I was your mother. I raised you, sacrificed for you, worked 2 jobs for your college, helped with the down payment on this house, babysat your children so you could build your career. And you repaid all that by forging my signature and selling my home. We were going to give you some of the money, Jennifer said weakly. Once the debts were under control. Some of the money, I repeated. How generous. Tell me, Jennifer, how much of my $800, 000, is left? Silence. I'll tell you. About $200. Ling ling ling. You spent or hid $600. 0 inches 3 weeks. 600美元. 000. That wasn't yours. Michael moved toward the door. I don't have to listen. Actually, you do, I said. Because Monday morning, I'm going to court. Filing for an emergency injunction to freeze all your accounts. Reverse the sale of my penthouse. And pressing charges for fraud, forgery, elder abuse, and misuse of power of attorney. Jennifer's head snapped up. Elder abuse, Mom. You can't be serious. Completely serious. What you did fits the legal definition. Exploited trust to steal from an elderly person. Textbook elder abuse. I'm your daughter. She sobbed. How can you do this? Send your own daughter to jail. I looked at her. This woman I'd birthed, raised, loved unconditionally for 40 years. I felt nothing. No sympathy. She'd burned it all away. I'm not sending you to jail, I said quietly. You sent yourself there the moment you forged my signature. I'm just making sure you arrive. This is ridiculous, Michael said, finding his voice. You can't prove any of this. Can't I? I pulled out my phone. Forensic analysis, 8 distinct differences in the signature. Bank records, unauthorized withdrawals. Emails from 4 months ago discussing selling my home. Text messages asking about power of attorney sales. Evidence of your gambling debts. Failed business. Tax fraud. I have everything. Michael. Everything. The color drained from his face. Jennifer was sobbing now. Mom. Please. Think about your grandchildren. If we go to jail, what happens to them? There it was. The manipulation. Grandchildren as leverage. You should have thought about your children before you committed fraud. I said. Before you stole from their grandmother. You made choices. Jennifer. Now you live with the consequences. We can pay you back. Michael said desperately. Sell this house. Get jobs. Pay every penny. With what money you've spent most of it. And even if you hadn't. This isn't about money anymore. This is about trust. About family. About 2 people who saw someone who loved them as nothing but an opportunity. I turned toward the door. Done with this conversation. Their excuses. Their tears. Wait, Jennifer cried. Mom. Please. There has to be a way to fix this. Make this right. I paused. There was a way. It was called not doing it in the first place. Being honest. Treating your mother with respect. Not like an ATM. So that's it, she asked. You're just going to destroy your own family. I'm not destroying anything. I said, you already did that. I'm just cleaning up the mess. I walked out, closing the door. Behind it, Jennifer's sobs. Michael's angry voice. I didn't go back. Didn't hesitate. As I drove away, something settled inside me. A sense of rightness. Purpose. Jennifer gambled I wouldn't fight back. That maternal love would override justice. She lost that bet. Monday. She'd learn the cost. Monday morning. Gray skies. Biting wind. I stood on the courthouse steps, clutching my purse and the evidence folder. Robert was beside me. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded. I'd been ready since the moment I saw a stranger at my door. The courthouse was busy. Lawyers. Worried families. I'd walked these halls for years as a paralegal. But it felt different when you were the one seeking justice. We went through security. Made our way to Judge Patricia Whitmore's courtroom on the 3rd floor. Robert described her as fair. No nonsense. Exactly what I needed. Jennifer and Michael weren't there yet. Good. We sat on a bench. Robert reviewed his notes. Emergency injunction hearing should be straightforward. Ask the judge to freeze property transfer. All accounts. Pending full trial. Given our evidence. She'll grant it. Then what? Then we wait for a trial date. Weeks. Maybe months. But the injunction protects your interests. They won't touch more money. The buyers will be notified. Months in a hotel. My chest tightened. But what choice did I have, Mrs. Torres? A young woman in a business suit stood before us. Amanda Lee. Victim advocate. DA's office. A moment, Robert nodded. We moved to a quieter corner. I've reviewed your case, Amanda said gently. The DA is very interested in pursuing criminal charges. Elder abuse is a priority. But are you prepared for what that means? What does it mean? Beyond civil court. Criminal charges carry jail time for both. I need to know you understand and are willing to proceed. I thought of my grandchildren. Jennifer's pleas. The family dinners. The imagined future. Then, I thought of standing before my own door. Homeless. The forged signature. Months of planning. Liu Bai Mei Yuan. 000 spent in 3 weeks. Yes, I said. I'm willing to proceed. Amanda nodded. Good. We'll coordinate with your attorney. Today's outcome will inform our criminal investigation. She left. I returned to Robert as Jennifer and Michael arrived with their lawyer. He looked young, maybe 30, with an overly confident swagger. Jennifer wouldn't look at me, clutching Michael's arm. Michael, however, stared with barely concealed anger. Their lawyer approached Robert. Harrison. Todd Brenner. Hope to resolve this without wasting court's time. Your client's confused about power of attorney parameters. Perhaps we can explain it. My client isn't confused about anything, Robert said coolly. Her questions showed she understood the stakes. When Robert finished, Brenner stood. Your Honor. The defense maintains Mrs. Jennifer Torres acted within her legal rights, under power of attorney. Her mother signed voluntarily. Language broad enough for financial decisions. No fraud. Just a family disagreement. Mr. Brenner, the judge said. Are you seriously arguing? Forging a signature falls within power of attorney? We dispute the signature was forged? Your Honor, Mrs. A woman in her 60 seconde. Short gray hair. Sharp eyes. She sat. Adjusted her glasses. Hearing on an emergency motion for injunction, Mr. Tent. Harrison. Plaintiff. Yes. Your Honor? Mr. Tent. Brenner. Defendants. Correct. Your Honor? Mr. Tents. Harrison. Make your case. Robert stood, launching into our argument. Precise. Methodical. Forged signature analysis. Timeline. Planning evidence. Unauthorized withdrawals. Michael's gambling debts. Everything. Judge Whitmore listened intently, taking notes. Her questions showed she understood the stakes. When Robert finished, Brenner stood. Your Honor. The defense maintains Mrs. Jennifer Torres acted within her legal rights, under power of attorney. Her mother signed voluntarily. Language broad enough for financial decisions. No fraud. Just a family disagreement. Mr. Brenner, the judge said. Are you seriously arguing? Forging a signature falls within power of attorney? We dispute the signature was forged? Your Honor, Mrs. She's the victim of fraud. We have extensive evidence obtained through illegal surveillance. I imagine. Brenner shot back. Perfectly legal. Licensed investigator. Robert finished. Nice try. The courtroom doors opened. Case number 2025CV 8847. Torres versus Torres and Brennan. We filed in. Jennifer, Michael, and their lawyer on one side. Robert and I on the other. The judge's bench loomed. All rise for the Honorable Judge Patricia Whitmore. No knowledge until I returned home. And the power of attorney, your understanding, for medical emergencies only. Your Honor? A precaution before surgery. The judge turned to Breener. Any evidence, Mrs.? Torres intended to grant authority to sell her property. He shuffled papers. Not specific evidence. Your Honor? But the document grants broad financial authority. For medical purposes, Robert interjected. The document states it covers medical decisions and associated financial matters. Not real estate transactions. Judge Whitmore was silent, reading the document. Finally, she looked up. I'm granting the emergency injunction. All accounts associated with the property sale are frozen. Property transfer stayed pending full trial. Mr. Brenner, your clients are not to dispose of assets or make large financial transactions without court approval. Is that clear, Your Honor? This will cause significant hardship for my clients. Bills to pay. Children to support. They should have thought of that before allegedly forging signatures and selling property not theirs to sell. The judge said sharply. The injunction stands. We'll schedule a full hearing for 6 weeks from today. That will give both sides time to prepare. 6 weeks. 6 more weeks in a hotel. In limbo. But it also meant Jennifer and Michael couldn't touch what was left of my money. Couldn't hide more assets. Couldn't run. This court is adjourned. As we filed out, Jennifer finally looked at me. Red eyes. Drawn face. She opened her mouth. But Michael pulled her away. Outside. Robert shook my hand. That went exactly as we hoped. Judge saw through their arguments. 6 weeks. I said. Long time to wait. Use it. Robert advised. Rest. Build strength. Solid case. But the trial will be intense. Jennifer's lawyer will try every trick. Make you look vindictive. Confused. Be ready. I nodded. 6 weeks felt like both too long and not long enough. The days that followed blurred. Limbo. I was caught between the life I had and the life I was fighting to reclaim. Most days. I stayed in my hotel. Working with Robert. Testimony. Responses. Evidence. I could recite it in my sleep. But at night, alone in that sterile room, doubt crept in. What if the full trial judge saw it differently? What if Brenner found a loophole? What if I lost everything? For good, on those nights, I'd look at photos of my penthouse, the balcony view, the reading nook, the kitchen where I'd baked cookies, my home, my sanctuary, the physical manifestation of a lifetime of work. Then, Jennifer's voice stopped being so dramatic. The casual dismissal. The utter lack of remorse. No. I wasn't wrong. I wasn't vindictive. I was fighting for what was mine. For justice. 6 weeks crawled by. Robert called with updates. The private investigator found more. The forensic accountant traced hidden money. The DA's office announced criminal charges. Each piece of news solidified the case. Made victory seem more certain. But it also made the final confrontation loom larger. Soon. The trial. The reckoning. Jennifer and Michael's day of judgment. I was ready. Trial morning. I woke before dawn. The hotel room was dark. Quiet. But sleep was impossible. Today was the day. After 6 weeks of waiting, preparing, wondering if justice would be served, I dressed carefully. Anavisut. Professional but understated. Pearl earrings Tom gave me for our 30th. Sensible shoes. I wanted them to see me competent. Dignified. Wronged. Not a confused old woman. Robert picked me up at 8:00. Trial at Nitre Dive. Time for one last review. How are you feeling? He asked. Nervous. I admitted. What if something goes wrong? Nothing will. We have evidence. Witnesses. The truth. Jennifer's lawyer will try to rattle you. Imply you're forgetful. That you agreed. Don't let him. I won't. But as we pulled into the courthouse, my stomach churned. This was it. Everything I'd fought for. We went through security to Judge Whitmore's courtroom. More crowded now. The jury, selected during preliminary hearings, sat serious, attentive. 12 people to decide my fate. Jennifer and Michael were already there with Brenner. Jennifer looked thinner. Dark circles under her eyes. Michael was angry. Yaff set. I took my seat next to Robert, trying to calm my racing heart. All rise. Judge Whitmore entered, surveying the room with those sharp eyes. This is the matter of Torres versus Torres and Brennan. Opening statements. Mr. Harrison, you may proceed. Robert stood. His voice, clear and confident, addressed the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about trust. Jennifer looked thinner. Dark circles under her eyes. Michael was angry. Yaff set. I took my seat next to Robert, trying to calm my racing heart. All rise. Judge Whitmore entered, surveying the room with those sharp eyes. This is the matter of Torres versus Torres and Brennan. Opening statements. Mr. Harrison, you may proceed. Robert stood. His voice, clear and confident, addressed the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about trust. The tragedy of a family torn apart by misunderstanding. Jennifer Torres acted in what she believed was her mother's best interest, using authority legally granted. Yes, the sale happened while Mrs. Torres was away, but it was to preserve family assets during a financial crisis. This is about differing interpretations of legal documents, not fraud. My jaw clenched. Differing interpretations, as if forging my signature was just a matter of perspective. The plaintiff may call its first witness. Judge Whitmore said. The plaintiff calls Mrs. Margaret Torres to the stand. I stood on shaking legs, made my way to the witness box, placed my hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. As if I'd come this far to lie. Robert began with easy questions. Name, age, Penthouse ownership duration, my career, establishing competence, sharpness, then the vacation. Mrs. Torres, when you left for Colorado, did you have any intention of selling your home? None whatsoever. I loved that home. I was looking forward to coming back. Did you give your daughter permission to sell it? Absolutely not. I had no idea she was even considering it. What happened when you returned? I told the story. Strangers at my door? Jennifer's call. Our dismissive tone. Her casual announcement. How did that make you feel? Betrayed. I said quietly. Devastated. Like I'd lost everything. Robert showed me the power of attorney. Is this your signature? Yes. Signed it before gallbladder surgery. My lawyer recommended it as a precaution. Your understanding of what this document allowed medical decisions, hospital bills. If I was unconscious, Jennifer could make choices about my care. That's all. Did you ever discuss selling your property with Jennifer? Never. The thought never crossed my mind. Robert showed me the sales documents, but it also meant Jennifer and Michael couldn't touch what was left of my money. Couldn't hide more assets. Couldn't run. This court is adjourned. As we filed out, Jennifer finally looked at me. Red eyes. Drawn face. She opened her mouth. But Michael pulled her away. Outside. Robert shook my hand. That went exactly as we hoped. Judge saw through their arguments. 6 weeks. I said, long time to wait. Use it. Robert advised. Rest. Build strength. Brenner stood, approaching with a sympathetic smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mrs. Torres. Your Dadiga Thrigan. Correct, yes. At 72. Would you say your memory is as sharp as it was when younger? My memory is excellent. I said firmly. I can tell you what I had for breakfast 6 weeks ago. A few jurors smiled. Brainer's jaw tightened. You testified you never discussed selling. Isn't it possible you had a conversation with your daughter and simply forgot? No. I would remember discussing the sale of my home. Mrs. Torres. Isn't it true you've experienced financial strain? Maintaining the penthouse was difficult. Absolutely false. My finances were excellent. Savings. Pension. Rental income from another property. Brenner looked surprised. He hadn't known about the rental. Your daughter testified in deposition that you complained about maintenance costs. That you'd mentioned downsizing. I never said any such thing. So, your daughter is lying, yes. I said, meeting his eyes. She's lying. Just like she lied when she forged my signature. Lied to the real estate agent. Lied to the couple who bought my home. You seem very angry with your daughter. Wouldn't you be angry if someone stole from you? Objection. Robert called out. Argumentative. Sustained. Mr. Brenner. Move on. Brenner tried a few more angles. But I didn't waver. Finally, he dismissed me. I returned to my seat. Robert called Daniel Wright. Daniel was brilliant. Explaining how signatures work. Muscle memory. And how the signature was definitively not mine. Brenner challenged him. But Daniel's decades of experience and credentials were unassailable. The jury looked convinced. Next. Patricia Moore. The private investigator. She laid out everything. Michael's gambling debts. Casino accounts. Private loans. Falsified business records. Jennifer's offshore account. With each piece of evidence, I watched the jury's expressions shift from neutral to shocked, then disgusted. Brenner objected, claiming the investigation was invasive. Judge Whitmore shut him down. Defendant's financial situation is directly relevant to establishing motive. Overruled. Finally, Robert called my doctor. He testified I was in excellent health, physically and mentally. No cognitive decline. No memory issues. Sharp as anyone half my age. When Robert rested our case, I felt cautiously hopeful. The evidence was overwhelming. Surely the jury saw the truth. Brenner called Jennifer to the stand. She walked slowly, looking small, frightened, took the oath, sat down, hands folded. Mrs. Brennan. Why did you sell your mother's penthouse? We were desperate, Jennifer said, her voice breaking. Michael lost his business. Creditors called constantly. I was afraid we'd lose our home. Our children out on the street. I thought I was doing what was best. Did you intend to defraud your mother? No. Never. I thought the power of attorney gave me authority. I thought I was helping. Did you forge your mother's signature? No. I signed it myself. But I believed I had the legal right to sign on her behalf. I watched the jury. Some sympathetic. Others skeptical. This was the dangerous moment. If they believed her tears, her mistake, we could lose. Robert stood for cross-examination. Serious. Not aggressive. Mrs. Brennan. You testified you believed the power of attorney gave you authority to sell. Did you consult with a lawyer? Yes. Michael's friend reviewed the documents. Did this friend specialize in elder law or power of attorney issues? I don't know. Did you consult with your mother's lawyer? Mr. Harrison. Who drafted the power of attorney? No. Why not? Jennifer was silent. Mrs. Brennan. I'll ask again. Why didn't you consult the lawyer who created the document? Who would know its intended purpose? I didn't think I needed to. Robert showed her the emails from 4 months before the sale. These are emails where you discuss your mother's penthouse market value. Research how to sell property when the owner is unavailable. Sent 4 months before the sale. Does that sound like a desperate last-minute decision? Jennifer hesitated, flushing. I was just exploring options. Exploring options 4 months in advance, Robert repeated. And these text messages to a real estate agent 6 weeks before your mother left for vacation. Asking about power of attorney sales, also exploring options. Yes. And this purchase you made tracing paper. High-quality pens. A book about document authentication. What were those for? Objection. Brenner called out. Speculation. Your Honor, these purchases directly relate to the forgery. Robert said, I'll allow it. Answer the question. Mrs. Brennan. Jennifer's hands shook. I don't remember buying those things. We have your credit card statements right here. Robert said. Holding documents. March 15th. Ordered online. Delivered to your home. You don't remember maybe Michael ordered them? Robert's tone made it clear how absurd that sounded. Mrs. Brennan. Let me ask you directly. Did you forge your mother's signature on those sales documents? No. Did you sign her name yourself? Jennifer was quiet. I signed as her power of attorney representative. That's not what I asked. Did you write out the name Margaret Torres? Attempting to make it look like your mother's signature. Another long pause. Yes. But I had the authority. You had the authority to forge her signature, Robert said flatly. Let me ask you something else. When did you tell your mother about the sale? I tried to tell her before she left. But the timing wasn't right. So, you waited until she came home and found strangers in her house. I didn't know how to bring it up. You didn't know how to bring up that you'd sold her home. Robert let that hang. And when she called? Upset and confused. What did you tell her? I tried to explain. According to phone records, that conversation lasted 4 minutes before you hung up. Is that trying to explain? Jennifer looked down. One more question. Robert said. After the sale, you opened an account in the Cayman Islands and transferred $60. Ling, ling, ling. Why? That was for our children's future. Or was it because you knew what you'd done was illegal? And you wanted to hide assets before you got caught? Objection. Brenner stood, badgering the witness. Withdrawn. Robert said. No further questions. Jennifer practically fled the stand. She looked smaller, diminished. Her confident mask shattered. Michael took the stand. He tried to project strength, but his testimony fell apart under Robert's questioning. Yes. Gambling debts. Yes. Hidden financial problems. Yes. He suggested using the power of attorney to sell the penthouse. So, this was your idea? Robert asked. We discussed it together. Michael said carefully. But you brought it up first. I suggested we explore our options. Options that included forging your mother-in-law's signature and stealing her home. We didn't steal anything. Robert let the statement hang. Disbelief evident. When both sides rested, Judge Whitmore instructed the jury. They filed out. We waited. An hour. Then 2. Robert assured me it was normal. A good sign. But every minute felt like an eternity. Finally, after 3 hours, the bailiff emerged. The jury has reached a verdict. We filed back in. My heart pounded. Everything came down to this. 12 strangers were about to decide if justice would be served. The foreman stood. In the matter of fraud, how do you find we find in favor of the plaintiff? Margaret Torres. My breath caught. In the matter of elder abuse, how do you find we find in favor of the plaintiff? In the matter of forgery and misuse of power of attorney, how do you find we find in favor of the plaintiff? The courtroom spun. Robert's hand on my shoulder, steadying me, eyed one. Every single count. Judge Whitmore addressed Jennifer and Michael. This court finds that you, Jennifer Torres Brennan and Michael Brennan, did knowingly and willfully defraud Margaret Torres through forgery, misuse of legal documents, and elder abuse. The sale of the property at 1847 Riverside Drive, Unit 15G, is hereby declared null and void. The property is to be returned to Mrs. Margaret Torres immediately. Jennifer cried openly. Michael sat rigid, pale. Furthermore, the judge continued, you are ordered to return all remaining proceeds from the fraudulent sale. The court calculates damages, including emotional distress, legal fees, and loss of use of property, at $120. Ling ling ling. To be paid to Mrs. Torres within 60 days. She paused, looking directly at them. What you did wasn't just illegal. It was morally reprehensible. You targeted a vulnerable family member, exploited that trust for financial gain. Few cases are as calculating and cold-hearted. You should be ashamed. Jennifer's sobs echoed. This court is adjourned. Mrs. Torres, you'll receive documentation about reclaiming your property within 48 hours. The gavel came down. I sat, unable to move. It was over. After weeks of fighting, sleepless nights, it was finally over. Robert explained next steps, but I barely heard him. All I could think was going home, truly home. As we stood to leave, Jennifer approached, face blotchy, eyes red. Mom, she said, voice hoarse. Please, can we talk? I looked at her, my baby, whom I'd rocked, comforted, taught to ride a bike, helped with homework, loved unconditionally for 40 years. I felt only disappointment. There's nothing to talk about, I said quietly. Please. I made a mistake. I know that now. Desperate. Scared. Terrible choices. But I'm your daughter. Doesn't that mean anything? You stopped being my daughter the moment you decided I was worth less than money. I said, you had a choice. Jennifer, ask for help. Be honest. Instead, you betrayed me in the worst way. I'm sorry, she whispered. So sorry. I don't believe you. I said, I think you're sorry you got caught. Sorry you have to face consequences. Not truly sorry for what you did to me. If you were, you would have confessed the moment I called, tried to make it right. Instead, you hung up and called me dramatic. Jennifer had no response. Goodbye, Jennifer, I said. I hope someday you understand what you've lost. I walked away. This time, I didn't look back. Outside, Robert shook my hand. Congratulations. Margaret, you did it. We did it. I corrected. Couldn't have without you. What will you do now? I thought about that. 6 weeks in limbo. Fighting. Now. What, I'm going home? I said. Reclaim my life. Move forward. Jennifer and Michael exited the courthouse. Defeated. Broken. A small part of me felt sad, but mostly relief, vindication, freedom. Jennifer made her choices. I said, now she gets to live with them. The couple living in my penthouse moved out within 48 hours. Robert handled logistics. They were upset. Understandably. Bought in good faith. Their dreams shattered. I felt sorry for them. Victims, too. Caught in Jennifer's crossfire. Robert assured me they'd pursue their own action against Jennifer and Michael. Good. Maybe that would drive the lesson home further. Thursday morning. Exactly 7 weeks after I'd found strangers at my door. I stood before it again. Key in hand. The key that worked. The lock that recognized me. I turned it. Pushed the door open. The penthouse was empty. Their furniture gone. Walls bare. But it was mine again. Truly mine. I walked through each room slowly. The living room. Those floor-to-ceiling windows. The kitchen where I'd baked cookies. The reading nook. The master bedroom where Tom and I slept for 15 years. Everything was the same. Yet everything felt different. A new energy. It had been violated. Not by the innocent couple, but by the betrayal that took it from me. I stood on the balcony, looking out at the city. The view unchanged. Buildings. River. Sun catching glass towers. But I had changed. 7 weeks ago. I was a trusting mother. Believed the best in people. Especially family. Believed love and sacrifice would be returned in kind. Now, I was different. Harder. Perhaps more cautious. Definitely. But stronger. I'd fought for what was mine. Won. Stood up to those who took advantage. Proved I wouldn't be pushed around. The hurt remained. Deep and aching. Betrayal didn't disappear with a court victory. Every thought of Jennifer planning, researching, forging, opened the wound. But alongside it, something else. Pride. Satisfaction. Knowing I did the right thing. Even when it meant shattering what was left of our relationship. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mrs. Torres. A young, professional voice. Sarah from Riverside Property Management. Your furniture has been moved from storage. Delivering tomorrow. Available my furniture. In the chaos. I'd forgotten Jennifer put my belongings in storage. At least she hadn't sold those. Yes. I said. I'll be here. Delivery window 9:00 to noon. Anything else? No. Thank you. I hung up, looking around the empty penthouse. Tomorrow, it would start to feel like home again. My couch, my bed, my dishes, books, all the little things that make a house a home. The moving truck arrived at 9:15. Movers efficient. Careful. By noon, my penthouse looked almost normal. Not quite the same. But close enough to breathe easier. I spent the afternoon unpacking. Dishes in cupboards. Pictures on walls. Small, ordinary tasks that felt monumental. Each item placed was a statement, I'm home. I'm staying. No one can take this from me again. That evening, in my reading nook with tea, my phone buzzed. Jennifer. My finger hovered over delete. I didn't want her apologies. Excuses. Curiosity won. I opened the message. Mom, I know you don't want to hear from me. I understand. But I need you to know I realize what I did was unforgivable. Not just illegal, but morally wrong. I betrayed you. I've lost everything. Michael and I are divorcing. Living with a friend. Kids barely speak to me. The worst part is knowing I destroyed our relationship. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know I understand now. What I took from you. I'm sorry. So sorry. I read it 3 times. Looked for manipulation. Guilt. Blame. It wasn't there. Simple. Direct. Honest. She wasn't asking for anything. Just acknowledging. Accepting consequences. I set the phone down. Stared out the window. Part of me wanted to respond. Say something. Bridge the enormous gap. She was still my daughter. The bond didn't just disappear. But another part. The hurt. Betrayed. Dismissed part. Wasn't ready. Maybe never would be. I didn't respond. Not that night. Anyway, I needed time. Over the next few days, I settled back in. New routines. Coffee on the balcony. Evening walks. The penthouse slowly felt mine again. Mrs. Patterson visited with a casserole. So glad you're home. Dear. Building hasn't been the same. Margaret from book club brought flowers. Gossip. We drank tea. Talked about everything but the trial. It was exactly what I needed. But at night, when the city quieted, alone with my thoughts, the reality of what I'd lost hit me. Not the penthouse. Jennifer. My grandchildren. The family I'd thought I had. I'd won the legal battle. Justice. But justice didn't fill the empty chair at my table. Didn't bring back Sunday calls. Didn't erase the knowledge that the person I loved most saw me as nothing more than a source of money. A week after moving back, Jennifer sent another text. I'm in therapy. Trying to understand why I made such terrible choices. Therapist says I have to take full responsibility. Stop blaming circumstances. You were right about everything. I was selfish. Cruel. Prioritized money over the person who gave me everything. I don't expect you to care. But I thought you should know, I'm trying to become a better person. Not for you. I know I can never make this right with you. But for my kids. So they don't grow up thinking this behavior is acceptable. I read it in my reading nook. Jennifer in therapy. Good. She needed it. Did it change anything for me? No. But maybe someday it could be a starting point. Not reconciliation. I didn't know if I could ever trust her. But perhaps, eventually, some kind of peace. That night, for the first time since Colorado, I slept well. Deep, dreamless sleep. The kind that comes when you're finally safe in your own space. I woke to sunlight. Lay there, listening to familiar sounds, pipes, distant voice, elevator dinging. I was home. Truly home. The fight wasn't completely over. Criminal charges still loomed. More court dates. But the worst was behind me. I had my home back. My dignity back. Proven I wouldn't be taken advantage of. Making coffee. I thought about Robert's question, what now? I'd reclaim my life. I'd said, but how? Go back to before, pretend none of this happened? No. This experience changed me. I saw the world differently. People differently. Myself differently. Stronger than I knew. Resilient. Willing to fight. Even when it hurt. That was worth something. A lot. Actually. Jennifer sent one more text that week. I heard the DA is moving forward with criminal charges. I'm not going to fight it. Whatever sentence I get, I deserve it. Just wanted you to know. I stared at the message. Then, for the first time, I typed a response. I hope you find peace. Jennifer, I really do. But that peace needs to come from within you. Not from me. Take care of yourself. Take care of your children. And learn from this. I hit send. Her response came quickly. Thank you. Mom. That's more than I deserve. And that was it. No more messages. No more attempts. Just quiet acceptance. And a tiny, fragile thread of connection. It might lead somewhere. Or not. I was okay with that too. I finished my coffee. Stepped onto the balcony. Morning air cool. Fresh. The city waking. Life continuing. And I, continuing with it, changed. Yes. Scarred. Absolutely. But still here. Still standing. Still me. That was enough for now. It was more than enough. 3 months after the trial, I saw them in the grocery store line. My grandchildren. Emma. Shirar. Jacob. Joe. With a woman I didn't recognize. Likely Jennifer's friend. Emma saw me first. Her eyes widened. For a moment, I thought she'd pretend not to notice. Then she tugged Jacob's sleeve, whispered something. He looked over. His face lit up. Just like it used to when I'd arrive with cookies. Grandma Jacob started toward me. Emma grabbed his arm, holding him back. Uncertain, I made the decision for them. Stepped out of line. Walked over. Hello? Sweetheart. I said to Emma. Then to Jacob. You've gotten taller. I'm almost as tall as Mom now, he said proudly. Then his face fell. Rachel. The friend. Introduced herself. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Jennifer didn't mention you might be. It's fine. I said. It's good to see them. Emma stared at the floor. Conflicted. Old enough to grasp the broad strokes. To feel the weight of family fractures. How's school? I asked gently. Okay. She mumbled. Then, looking up with serious eyes. So much like Jennifer at that age. She asked, Are you mad at us? My heart broke a little. Oh. Honey. No. Not at all. What happened between your mom and me, that's between adults. Nothing to do with you and Jacob. Mom cries a lot now. Jacob offered innocently. She says she did something really bad to you. Rachel looked uncomfortable. Kids. Maybe we should, it's all right. I said. I crouched to Jacob's level. Your mom made some mistakes. Big ones. But that doesn't mean she's a bad person. It means she has to learn and grow. And it doesn't mean I stopped caring about you two. Can we still visit you sometimes? Emma asked. Hope creeping into her voice. Like we used to, I hesitated. The practical part of me knew maintaining a relationship with them meant some contact with Jennifer. Potentially more hurt. But looking at their faces, I couldn't say no. I'd like that. I said. If your mom is okay with it? Really, Jacob's face broke into a huge grin. We exchanged numbers with Rachel. She promised to talk to Jennifer. As they walked away, Emma looked back. Waved. I waved back. Something shifted inside me. Not forgiveness. Exactly. But maybe the beginning of something that could eventually lead there. 2 weeks later, Saturday morning. My doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. The video monitor showed Jennifer. Alone. Nervous. Shifting her weight. I almost didn't open the door. Curiosity won. I unlocked it. Left the chain on. Opened it enough to see her. Mom. She said. Sorry for showing up unannounced. Should have called. But I have something for you. Wanted to bring it in person. She held up a small box. Simply wrapped. You don't need to give me anything. I said. I know. But please. Just take it. Not asking to come in. Not asking for anything else. Just please take this. Against my better judgment. I unlatched the chain. Opened the door wider. Jennifer handed me the box. She looked thinner than in court. Tired? Strands of gray in her hair. I'm not staying. She said quickly. Just wanted you to have this. And to tell you Emma and Jacob asked about visiting you. If you're willing, I'd like that to happen. Not manipulating. They miss you. You were always a wonderful grandmother. They shouldn't lose that because of what I did. I held the box. I ran into them at the grocery store. They seem like they're managing. They're resilient. Jennifer said. More resilient than I am. Apparently. She tried to smile. It was shaky. I've been going to therapy twice a week. Working through things. Understanding why I made choices. Not to excuse them. Just to understand them. So I don't make them again. That's good. I said. And I meant it. The criminal trial is next month. She said quietly. My lawyer thinks 18 months. Probably serve 9 with good behavior. I'm scared, but also relieved. In a weird way. Like, I need to pay this debt before I can move forward. I didn't know what to say. Part of me still wanted her to suffer. But another part, the mother part that never fully goes away, hurt for her. I should go. Jennifer said, "Thank you for talking to me, for considering letting the kids visit. It means more than you know." She turned to leave, then paused. "Mom, I know I've said this, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry. Not because I got caught. Not because I'm facing consequences, but because I hurt you, betrayed your trust, treated you like you were disposable. You deserved so much better from me." Her voice cracked. She didn't wait for a response. Walked toward the elevator. I closed the door. Stood there, holding the box, then went to my living room. Sat down to open it. Inside, a photo album. Old. Worn leather binding. My mother's album. Photos from my childhood. I'd given it to Jennifer years ago. Thought she'd want to show her children where they came from. I opened it carefully. Photos of me as a little girl. My parents. My grandparents. Family gatherings from 60 years ago. Tucked into the front page, a note in Jennifer's handwriting. "Mom, I found this when I was packing. I wanted you to have it back. Not because I don't want it, but because it belongs with you. These are your roots, your history, the foundation of everything you built. I took so much from you. Can't give it all back, but I can give you this. Love. Jennifer." I sat with the album in my lap, a photo of myself at 5, standing between my parents, our tiny apartment. We didn't have much then, but we had each other. Love. Trust. That little girl believed hard work, honesty, treating people right would be rewarded. That family meant something. Trust was sacred. Jennifer's actions had shaken that belief, made me question everything. But sitting there with that album, tangible proof of where I'd come from, what I'd overcome, I realized something. Jennifer's betrayal hadn't destroyed me. Hurt me. Yes. Changed me. Absolutely. But I was still here. Still standing. Still the same person at my core who'd built a life from nothing. And maybe, just maybe, there was room in my life for boundaries, for connection, for holding people accountable, and for showing mercy, for protecting myself, and for leaving the door open, just a crack, for the possibility of healing. I wasn't ready to forgive Jennifer completely. Might never be. But I could accept her apology. Allow my grandchildren into my life. Acknowledge she was trying to become better. Even if it didn't erase what she'd done. That evening, I called Rachel. Arranged for Emma and Jacob to visit the following weekend. Then, I sent Jennifer a text. Brief. Sincere. Thank you for the album. It means a lot. The kids can visit Saturday at 10:00. Her response came quickly. Thank you. Mom. Really? Thank you. I set the phone down. Looked around my penthouse. My home. The one I'd fought for. Won back. It wasn't just a place anymore. It was a symbol. A reminder I was stronger than I knew. That I could face betrayal and emerge intact. Justice had cost me my relationship with my daughter. At least for now. Cost me my illusions about unconditional family loyalty. Cost me my innocence. My trust. My belief that love was always enough. But it had given me something too. Dignity. Self-respect. The knowledge I could stand up for myself. Proof that actions have consequences. Even for people we love. And maybe, if we were both willing to do the work, it had given Jennifer and me a chance at something new. Not what we had before. That was gone forever. But perhaps something more honest. More real. Built on truth instead of assumptions. I didn't know if that would happen. Couldn't guarantee it. But for the first time since returning from Colorado, all those months ago, I felt like it was possible, and possibility. I was learning. Was sometimes enough. Saturday morning. Sunshine streamed through my balcony windows. I'd been up since 6:00, cleaning, preparing for Emma and Jacob. Cookies in the oven. Hot chocolate ready. Board games pulled from the closet. At exactly 10:00, the doorbell rang. Emma and Jacob stood there with Rachel. Emma, nervous. Jacob, bouncing. "Come in," I said. Jacob rushed in. "Everything looks the same. Is that a new lamp?" "Same lamp." I laughed. "Just moved." Emma entered slowly, taking it all in. Walked to the balcony. "I miss this place," she said softly. "I used to love coming here. You're welcome here anytime." I told her. "That hasn't changed." Rachel lingered. "I can come back at 1:00. Perfectly. I spent the morning with my grandchildren as I used to. Games. School talk. Friends. Jacob's elaborate soccer stories. Emma's art project photos. It felt normal. Almost like before. Except we all knew it wasn't quite the same. An awareness. A carefulness in what we said. Jennifer's name came up once. Jacob asked if I thought his mom would be okay. Yes. I told him honestly. I think she will be. Might take time. But your mom is strong. Are you still mad at her? Emma asked. Searching my face. Was I still mad? Yes. On some level. Betrayal still stung. Hurt hadn't completely healed, but the sharp anger had faded. Something more like sadness and disappointment. I'm working on not being mad. I said, it's a process, but I'm getting there. Emma seemed satisfied. When Rachel picked them up, Jacob hugged me tightly. Can we come back next weekend? We'll see, I said, but I'd like that. After they left, I stood on my balcony, looked at the city. 4 months ago, my life upended, helpless, betrayed, lost. Now, standing in my home. One back, I felt different. The experience had stripped away a lifelong belief that being kind and trusting was always enough. That love could overcome anything. That family would never truly hurt you. Those beliefs were gone. In their place, something harder, but more honest. An understanding that trust had to be earned, protected. Love without boundaries was dangerous. Family ties didn't excuse bad behavior. A painful lesson, but necessary. I thought about the woman I'd been before Colorado. She would have forgiven Jennifer. Convinced herself family peace was more important. Swallowed her hurt to avoid conflict. That woman was gone. In her place, someone who knew her worth. Who wouldn't accept being treated as less than she deserved. Who understood that holding people accountable wasn't cruel. It was necessary. I liked this new version of myself better. Over the next few weeks, life settled into a new rhythm. Emma and Jacob visited every other weekend. I joined a new book club, making friends who knew nothing of my past drama. Started painting classes. Something I'd always wanted. I started looking forward. Jennifer's criminal trial was in early December. She pleaded guilty to all charges. Sentenced to 15 months. Parole after OTA. Less than it could have been. But enough to make the point. When I heard a complicated mix of emotions. Relief. Sadness. A small, quiet hope that this was the wake-up call Jennifer needed to truly change. She sent me one final letter before reporting to serve her sentence. Mom, I'm about to begin paying my debt to society. But the debt I owe you can never be fully repaid. You gave me life, raised me, supported me, loved me. I threw all of that away for money. No excuse, no justification. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I hope someday, years from now, I can show you through my actions that I've learned from this. Become someone worthy of being called your daughter again. Until then, thank you for letting Emma and Jacob see you, not punishing them for my mistakes. You've always been a better person than I deserved. With love and regret, Jennifer. I read that letter 3 times. Put it in a drawer, not ready to respond. Maybe never would be, but I kept it. Someday, perhaps, evidence of where we'd been, how far we'd come. Christmas approached. For the first time in years, I didn't dread it. I invited Emma and Jacob for Christmas Eve. We decorated cookies, watched old movies, opened presents by the fireplace, different from our big family gatherings. But good, real, honest. As the new year arrived, I reflected. Betrayal, fight, victory, the slow, painful rebuilding. A year ago, if told my daughter would steal my home, I'd have said impossible, unthinkable. But it happened. I survived. More than survived. I conquered it. Learned I was stronger, that I could face the worst betrayal. That justice, difficult and painful, was worth fighting for. I also learned life doesn't always give you the ending you want. The people you love most disappoint you in unimaginable ways. Relationships break, can't be fully repaired. The price of standing up for yourself is sometimes loneliness. But I'd rather be lonely and dignified than surrounded by people who didn't respect me. On New Year's Day, watching the sun rise over the city, I felt peace. Not the naive peace of ignorance. The hard-won peace of someone who'd been through fire and emerged stronger. I thought about what came next. More art classes, traveling, volunteering at a legal aid clinic, helping elderly people who'd been taken advantage of. Using my experience, the future stretched before me, full of possibility. Not the future I'd imagined a year ago, but a future nonetheless. And I was ready for it. I learned the hard way that standing up for yourself isn't selfish. Setting boundaries isn't cruel. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is hold people accountable for their actions. I learned it well. Now, at 72, I'm finally living life on my own terms. In my own home. With my dignity intact, my head held high. That penthouse Jennifer tried to sell. It wasn't just a building. It represented everything I'd worked for. Everything I'd sacrificed. Everything I was. And when she tried to take it, she learned something important. You don't mess with a woman who spent her whole life fighting for what's hers. Because she'll fight back. And she'll win. Trust me on that.